You probably know that 3D printing is being used for making small prototypes and parts, but what you may not know is that you can now buy a 3D printer big enough to print a planter, a wall, or even a house. Mudbots in Midvale, Utah is revolutionizing the construction industry with their giant 3D printers. We caught up with the founder of Mudbots, James Lyman, for a quick conversation about this technology.
James, thank you so much for being with us. Right out the gate, what is Mudbots?
It's a big boy toy. Mudbots is for 4 years we've been developing the technology to be able to print with a cementitious type material. A lot of people call it 3D concrete printing. It's really more of a mortar mix. We've developed the printer and all the components and the software, everything necessary to be able to print affordable, fast, strong homes.
It is crazy to me how quickly you can 3D print a home.
You can print a 1,200 square foot house in a day and eliminate 7 trades, but it's truly needed all around the world.
Right? We are looking at a housing crisis right now. How is that going to impact and play a part in the way we construct? I'm just thinking concrete, is it built just like a standard home?
In one sense, I'd say it's not comparable to traditional construction at all, because I can do what normally takes 2 months, coordinating contractors and subs and trying to get materials on the site. It eliminates all of that. I can literally do in 2 days what takes normally 2 months. So there's comparisons in the sense that, yeah, we still have electrical and we still have plumbing and different building methods, but it's not comparable at all when it comes to cost and time savings. I have a background in construction in Las Vegas at a construction company down there. 100 employees, it is a coordination nightmare, and that's without codes and building inspectors and architects and everything else that goes with that. But when I saw a Russian guy, he had built a castle in his backyard for his daughter. The moment I saw it, I was just oh my gosh, I wonder if he even knows what he has, because I know what the challenges are in construction. And that's without the lumber crisis that we're under right now. So, and there isn't a city in America where they don't have a, 25,000 home deficit. There's no product for the millennial generation and those after. They've been precluded from even being able to get into home ownership, because the average lowest cost home, you're looking at $280,000 or $300,000. So they're still renting. They're staying with mom or they're renting, and we've robbed them from the opportunity to get in the game. Until you have home ownership, you're just throwing your money away to rent, taxes, everything. So I saw a huge and immediate need.
You mentioned building codes. What about those government codes? How is Mudbots working to make sure they're meeting those codes?
There's nowhere in America or anywhere else where we don't pass code. We're printing with a cementitious material that's 3 times the strength of a cinder block. So if you think of us as ICF, where there's a foam shell and you put your rebar and your plumbing and electrical in it and then pour it solid full of concrete, it passes code everywhere. What you want to do though is ideally not pour the center with concrete, because you don't have a very good R value. An 8-inch concrete wall it's under R3. But if we fill it with closed cell foam, which is R7 for every inch of infeed that we put in there, you got an R35 wall for your exterior. Interior walls don't need anything. They're so much stronger than drywall and stick framing, metal framing, just no comparison whatsoever. Other than it's a lot easier to hang a picture. You don't have to put 5 holes trying to find a stud. You just drill a hole, put a little bit of mud over it when you're done, and you can't even tell you were there.
I already love this house, because I can tell you how many times I've tried to hang a picture, and the next thing you know, I'm bringing out the spackle. So I totally agree with this.
Yeah.
You mentioned the housing crisis, but we're also experiencing a homeless crisis.
We are.
How do you see Mudbots playing a role in helping with these 2 issues?
Well, the primary reason I got involved with Mudbots was for the humanitarian side of it, for the a chance and an opportunity to make a difference. Retirement's boring. Nobody to go fishing with. All the ladies have jobs. So it gets boring after a while. And Like I say, when I saw Andrejko, the man's genius, but he had no phone number on his website, no email address and stuff like that. I spent a couple months trying to get a hold of him. I wanted to know if do you know what you have here? Do you know how this is going to revolutionize construction, the solutions that it brings to construction technology? USA Botics was our parent company back then, and we know how to automate. We automate factories. So I had no doubt that I couldn't build a concrete printer that would distribute mud where it's supposed to go. I was terribly naive. That was 4 years ago. But I took a couple of our engineers and told them, go ahead and start building this. It's a large-scale 3D printer. I mean, that's literally what it is. You don't know what you don't know. And 4 years later, we realized, yeah, any mechatronics student can build a concrete printer. Unfortunately, it doesn't work without the right pumping system, without the chemistry of all these different mixes. And then you need the software that will control it. I was trying to use off-the-shelf 3D slicers and different programs. They don't work because they don't have the capability to sense temperature, humidity, wind, and those factors are instrumental in printing unless you're just going to print, 12 inches a day, 12 inches a day, 12 inches a day, which isn't faster, cheaper, or better. So it was the chemistry, failure. So without all the other components, the batching system that is batching the individual ingredients based on temperature, wind, and humidity. So many things come into play. And so I had no doubt that we couldn't build it. My only doubt was that it's like selling a space shuttle to someone if they're not familiar with mechatronics and automation and motion controllers and things like this here. But when we went to World of Concrete, we literally had 40 people in front of our booth for 3 days. It was exhausting. They got it immediately, and I underestimated the market. In fact, all my original projections for how fast this would be adopted and things like that they were crap. They were just, I thought it would take a lot longer, but there's such a pent-up need for affordable homes, solutions for construction, the housing crisis. And then two of the things that helped us the most, one was COVID, unfortunately. It's been a terrible thing. But for our company, it ended up being a huge blessing because normally you don't have CEOs and engineers and leaders of government sitting around all day long with nothing to do. They're running companies, they're busy, they don't have 10 minutes to their name. And then all of a sudden, the entire world was stuck at home watching YouTube. Are we going to die? What is this thing? Is it real? Do we need masks? Do we don't need? And then YouTube can only deliver so much of that content before it's because obviously Google knows who we are and what we do. And if you're in construction, they just started throwing this link for concrete printing. Everybody was clicking on it. And they had hours and hours and hours. I mean, we have over 100 hours of training for people that start down this rabbit hole. And they had the time. So I don't know when that will ever happen again. Hopefully not. But for us, it was a blessing. And the phones just went crazy. Then with the lumber crisis, the same thing happened. Lumber's gotten so expensive, got projects going on hold everywhere. Again, they're going back to the internet, trying to figure out other building methods that they can start to use because the prices have just gotten ridiculous.
I love this because you talk about innovation and you talk about failure. You look at someone like Edison did the same thing. And it's also interesting because when we started the next stage, we had an opportunity to go up to the University of Nevada, Reno, their innovation center. We saw this 3D printing and they're printing little small statues. And I remember thinking to myself, this technology it's mind-blowing. What more could we do with it? And that was just 3 years ago. And here you are, Mudbots, now creating homes. Mm-hmm. Where do you see Mudbots with this technology in the next 3 years?
It's hard to wrap your head around it. I mean, we're working with a government in Africa. They want 580 machines because they have 1 million homes to build. The growth is beyond comprehension. That's the thing that keeps me up at night, not the technology and the advancements that we're working on and ways to make it better. It is how to scale up, because I mean, we have 26 countries right now that are vying to come here, to watch the printer, to get training on the printer, to learn how to be a franchisee in another country. That's a lot of training, that's a lot of hand-holding, that's a lot of ventures in a lot of different countries. So,
how do you respond to people who say you're eliminating trades?
You know, I get that a lot. People ask about that. But we've been saying that for forever. I mean, they said the same thing of Bill Gates and Steve Jobs. Okay, there was a time when you would have a high-rise building and there would be floors and floors of people typing on computers and doing 10 key and all this kind of stuff. They're not homeless. We adapt. Okay, there's a new technology. It makes us more efficient and faster. We can get a lot more done with a lot less. You always got to err on the side of the technology. The people are going to learn different practices and different types of careers. They don't go away. So we've heard about, my grandfather tells a story of when he was working on Boulder Dam during the Depression, and men were willing to work just because they couldn't not work anymore. They didn't even without the money, tears in their eyes. And then he tells of, you know, the first tractor he saw. And literally at night, men were going out there and pulling the spark plug wires off it and popping the tires because this tractor was doing the work of 50 men. And they were afraid of it. It's going to take away my job. So that has always existed. And it's going to exist, you know, decades after this as well. We can't, though, because drywall might not be as necessary, and taping and stucco and these types of things, we can't avoid the bigger problem. The bigger problem is we have homelessness everywhere. There's 160,000 people living on the street in Los Angeles. 3 people die every single night. Where's the solution? So that is what we keep our eye on the ball. That is what we're working with. That's what we're trying to fix and to solve. And it's done. I mean, this isn't an hypothesis anymore. This, you know, it is what we say it is, and it does what we say. It's being done all over the world. So, I mean, they're building hotels, they're building houses, professional buildings all over the world, multi-story basements. Yeah, this isn't hypothesis anymore.
Well, I am so thrilled that you took the time to talk with us, and I look forward to seeing many, many Mudbot homes in our community. Thank you again.
I appreciate it. It's my pleasure.
3D printing technology applied to one of the most crucial aspects of our lives, housing. It's an incredibly exciting development. Its ability to unleash creativity for architects while saving money and natural resources makes this the next stage of construction.